folks, Captain Mike here from Salty Cape, and today we are ground fishing in Vineyard Sound. It's 4th of July weekend coming upon us, and our goal today is to catch some big black sea bass for the cookout this coming week. And it's early July, and that means it's shifted into the deeper water groundfish mode. We're gonna look for big drop-offs, long troughs, work all the wonderful structure we have along the Elizabeth Islands, and make a series of long drifts and hopefully get dinner without a whole lot of fanfare. So the approach today is making a series of long drifts over a deeper valley in between two more shallow areas. There's a couple little humps causing, almost little micro rips, but really the structure here is a valley of deep water. We're ground fishing, and so we're paying careful attention to the wind and tide and how this drift trajectory is going to go. We're in 96 feet of water, and we know about this spot. It's a nice long stretch, so we're going to make a series of long drifts, and assuming the fishing's good, we're going to keep going. Once we get into the little stuff or unintended catches like small sea basses, sea robins I should say, we're going to pick up and make the drift all over again. That's what we came here for. This guy came in on the jig. Now that is a big sea bass on the Squinnow Jig, thumping on the bottom. That's what it's all about. Now, one question I often ask myself when making a series of drifts for groundfish over structure, which in today's case again is a deep drop-off or underwater trough, and usually that comes when the quality of the fish sort of either downgrades or changes to another species. And here we have a sea robin that respectfully let go of the hook both sides, so I didn't have to dehook it. But we just caught a small one before that. That's our cue to pick up and make a short move back up and start the drift all over again. So this drift took me a little further north than I meant to go. So I'm just going to take a moment just to sneak around and reset up now that I'm getting the hang of this particular drift. We're at the end of a long drift, as told by small scups, small sea bass, and lack of intended bottom. So we're going to pick up and run up tide, but what we're going to do is we're going to go out around the boats, not through the boats, and that's just purely a matter of etiquette. So we're going to go up and around and start the drift over again. Now the wind has changed directions a little bit, and the tide has gotten stronger over the course of the morning. And so, in this situation, no two drifts are the same. So once you set up a drift, if you notice you're drifting in a different trajectory and you don't like that trajectory, a short little move to repoint your drift once you calibrate which way you're going to go, it's worth a little extra effort. So we're in, there we go. That's a good fish. Just folding that 7-foot hybrid inshore offshore spinning rod right in half. Heavy fish. Definitely some shoulders on this one. Looks like there's two fish. A big fish and a little fish on the teaser. And I'm going to shoot for some bigger sea bass. I'm going to let that guy go. It's probably legal. This guy is definitely not legal. I'm going to get this back down. Seeing some bait on the fish finder. I'm going to get my bait back down. See some bait on the fish finder. That's how you know you're in the spot. So the technique today is going to be a slow jigging style with the groundfish jig and the teasers down on the bottom. We're in 99 feet of water, so that means we're going to be using a heavy jig Here I have the 8.5 ounce Squinnow Jig. You know, again, enhanced with the Jig Biki Teasers, targeting a mix of inshore groundfish. You know, we know at this spot it could be any mix of, well, hopefully larger fish, but you know, large scup, large sea bass. And if you get lucky here, sometimes you can get a fluke. But sea bass is on the menu, and that's the target. And we'll take anything else that's tasty along the way. And that's the game plan. So I'm holding bottom. We have the wind against the tide here, but there's still a fair amount of moving current. And so what I'm gonna do is slow jig this jig, bouncing it on the bottom, putting it on the bottom, lifting the tip of the rod, and then letting it sink down. This is a Squinnow jig. It's designed with a rounded belly and a low center of gravity. So every time I lift that jig up with the rod tip in a big, long, slow jigging motion, that lure is gonna have a nice, nice drop. And then you have the two little Biki Teasers above it, creating a whole little food chain here. And you know, a lot of folks associate inshore ground fishing with bait, but not me. I like a neat boat. You know, I like the ability to pick up a couple ground fish on the way home from a striper trip or a tuna trip. So I have this little system, and a slow jig like this is all you need to do to catch fluke, sea bass, and scup. And today's no different. Just had a hit. We're drifting into the hot zone now. Lift my rod, pause it. Now I'm doing big, long, slow jigs like this, but every once in a while, I'm just gonna let this stop, sit on the bottom, and fish it like bait for a minute. Lift and drop. Now you'll notice that I'm periodically paying line out. That's to keep up with the drift. As we drift further and further, the lure's getting further and further away from the boat. And that's gonna lift it up off the bottom. So if I'm just gonna constantly pay line out, I want a vertical presentation with the vertical jig. If I have too much scope, I'm just gonna reel it in, get it close to the boat, then I'm gonna send it right back down to the bottom. Now what I did there is I went just above the money spot, drift in, and now we're in the zone. So I'm gonna stop yapping and start catching fish. Now, I'm a big fan of matching the hatch, and we're ground fishing today. One thing I know about pretty much all Northeast ground fish is, hence the name, the ground, they're bottom dwellers. Now, we're drifting a big trough, so there's sandy bottom, but there's also rock piles and drop-offs, so there's naturally gonna be crabs and baby lobsters along the bottom. So you'll notice that our groundfish Biki Teasers and a lot of our groundfish jigs, here I have the Hogy Squinnow Jig. There's a lot of olive and pink and orange colorations, and you can see firsthand how that sea bass, when it spit up his previous lunch, it was indeed a crab. And yeah, sure, you can put squid or clams on the Biki Teasers or on any of our groundfish jigs, but they're designed to be fished right out of the chip package. No bait required to fish these things, and you know, it's just a turnkey fishing solution. And if you're like me and you like a clean boat, you know, just say no to bait. You know it's a good fish when it bends the 7-foot Hogy Hybrid Inshore Offshore Spinning Rod in half. Feels like a big sea bass, lots of head shakes. Could be multiples, it's hard to tell. Oh, nice fish. Came in on the teaser. And that is what we're looking for right there. It's funny, you can tell what you have by the fight. Sea bass will have more head shakes. Scup will be bouncing their way all the way in, like this beauty that came in on the teaser. It's Gonna de-hook this guy. Get him in the live well here, spit up some crabs, clean up the mess. And that is my favorite eating fish, believe it or not, is a large scup. Cooked and cleaned the same way you would a sea bass. So here's the outfit we're using today. Now, I am aware that this is a seemingly overkill outfit for ground fishing for sea bass. This is my 7-foot hybrid inshore offshore spinning outfit with a VS200 reel with 60-pound test braid and a 60-pound test leader. But you know, coming in from offshore, picking up some ground fish on the way in, this is a perfect outfit because I can just grab it and go. I don't need to have the excess gear on the boat for having an inshore jigging outfit. Now the other thing is we're fishing in 95 to 100 feet of water, and I'm using an 8.5 ounce jig to get down, so you do need a fair amount of rod to support an 8.5 ounce jig bouncing on the bottom. Now what makes the Hogy Hybrid rod so good in that situation is it's very parabolic. It's a truly moderate action rod. So if you look at the footage of me fighting fish, the rod is just, it's bent in half. It's a very cushy, soft, happy rod. Now we've caught tuna, pushing 65 inches with this. This is a rod we use for casting big XL dog walkers and structure for big striped bass. It's also a great ground fish rod if you're using heavy jigs, say 6.5 ounces and up. And so this is the outfit. Again, overkill for what we're doing, but convenient to have on board. And actually, when you're fishing with an 8.5 ounce jig, doesn't feel all that much of an overkill situation. Now let's go from the running line to the leader. You'll see our jig Biki Teaser, and I'm just a huge fan of these anytime I'm ground fishing. We probably would have caught plenty of fish today just with the 8.5 ounce Squinnow jig on the bottom, but why not, right? It's not really adding a whole lot of complications. And today we had a number of sea bass cough up lobster and crab parts. And so these teasers, these Biki Teasers, greatly replicate or imitate those small crustaceans you'll find down there. Even the assist hook on the Squinnow jig we're using today has that, I like to call that crabalicious or crustalicious teaser hair on it. And then the Squinnow jig, we've had this jig in our arsenal for a long time. It's a great jig, especially for the slow jigging that we've been doing today. Big long sweeps of the rod. When this jig sinks, it's going to have a very circuitous route down. A lot of flutter, a lot of action. Then of course you've got the little Biki Teasers above just teasing along, so you have a whole little food chain system going on and a lot of commotion, loud thumps with this hitting the bottom, and truly no bait is required with ground fishing in this manner. We had action all morning long, and just a great little system. Now, one thing I do want to point out about the Jig Biki Teaser rig, this is made with 60-pound test mono. The reason why we go so heavy with these inshore ground fishing rigs, I should say, well, certainly you can use them offshore for big cod and haddock, but if you do hook a bluefish or a striped bass, which you're liable to jigging in these sorts of areas, you have nothing to worry about landing the fish. So we had a great day today. Would have been awesome to catch a big doormat fluke, but I'm going to err on the side of surprising my wife by getting home early for fishing for once. I don't think that's ever happened with me, but today it is. But we've got a cooler full of beautiful and delicious sea bass. Mission accomplished. Great day. Not a whole lot of crowds. So far, this short little trip may be one of my favorites of the season.